Welcome to another episode of the Online Prosperity Experience podcast. You're about to hear your host, Prosper Taravinga's powerful digital marketing strategies and actionable tactics that you can use right now. Prosper has helped more than 50,000 people from over 10 countries to create meaningful businesses that are profitable and enjoyable. Listen to this podcast so that you too can build your own business with less stress and overwhelm. Let's get started.
Stop glorifying being so busy as a business owner. Now, I can imagine as a coach, consultant, or small to medium business owner, stuff is happening within your business. You go from, generating leads for your business, growing your business, all the things that are pulling you in all different directions and definitely keeps you uber busy. And if you're not working on the business, you're working in the business, maybe sending hundreds of emails out there, just asking people to buy from you and things of that nature. Now, I'm here to tell you that you need to stop glorifying being busy, because being busy does not mean that you're also being productive. And there, I said it, my Internet Explorer. Come at me. All those people that say, oh, I'm so busy, I can't get a day or time to myself. It's just a symptom of an unhealthy way of being and somebody who cannot prioritize their time or who's not in control whatsoever. You know what I mean? I can't go a day without mentioning someone, who says how busy they are or that they find themselves falling into this trap every now and again. And there are times when, obviously, yes, you might be truly busy. I mean, like at the moment you're engaged in something and therefore you can't do anything else. Right now, I am busy on this podcast, and definitely, that is warranted, you know what I mean? And in my calendar, this time is not, available for anyone to book a call. Why? Because, I've scheduled it. And I'm going to be introducing you to how you can schedule and prioritize your time so that you literally can actually be much more productive and do more with less time and less struggle. You know what I mean? Like I said, you will be truly busy, and I can understand, growing your business, is tough. As an entrepreneur, maybe just prioritizing your time, or maybe just, you having to deal with everything else that comes along with your business. It's cumbersome. You know what I mean? You go from hiring and managing new staff, balancing books, you're driving growth and a whole lot more. And, it all feels like a constant balancing act where you're pulled in multiple different directions. And usually at the end of the day, your real goal is just to help your clients. So anything else that doesn't resemble that is, taking your time, and yes, there are a lot of times when you've got a big to-do list and it's all pressing, things that you need to take care of. But let me tell you something, at the end of the day, you are not busy. You're just not prioritizing or scheduling yourself time, in order to be very productive in your day. And I actually do not think that people who play the whole "my life is worse than yours" game, by comparing how busy they are with other people, do you reckon it's for attention? You know what I mean? Because we all have 24 hours in a day. So why is it that your day just seems to be so filled with stuff that you need to take care of? Like, who are you? Like, are you the person who's in charge of making sure the sun goes up and the moon comes up at night? Or what are you busy with anyway? You know what I mean? But then there are also those people who equate being busy with being important. You know what I mean? To those people, I'll say you are no more important than the next person, in line with you or next person to you. Okay, I would also argue that the lack of the skill of actually prioritizing makes you look dumb. Okay, so for example, if you're working on the weekend, or some people don't because they were so busy throughout the week, they need time to recuperate. I just say, man, you are wasting your time. And usually people that do that are majoring in minor things. All right. I want you to meet two marketing best friends that you're gonna have throughout. And I'm not gonna talk in specifics of how to run your overall business. I'm just gonna be talking in the concept of digital marketing realm, how you can literally get more done and seemingly be omnipresent and everywhere so that people can actually get to know, like, and trust you. The biggest problem that a lot of businesses have is obscurity. Nobody knows who they are, and they think word of mouth is happening behind them without them growing that sort of side of their business. And I'm gonna let you in on a secret, because you're an internet explorer, and I value you tuning into this podcast every single day. When it comes to simplified digital marketing or maybe content marketing, you only need two organizational tools on your side. Okay, and this is batching all your content and scheduling it. There's tools, systems, and processes that you can actually start utilizing in order for you to create content in advance so that you don't have to scramble just to fill a void moving on, because when you start scheduling maybe your social media or your emails or your landing pages or anything that you have to do within your business, something magical happens. Okay, you start creating and publishing better content across the board. You know why? Because you can see all the work that is going to be going on, and you can literally create a sequence that people can easily follow, and that will actually make your information and content out there consumable. All right, because some people are just whacking a mole, so to speak, and reacting to maybe a meme or a theme that is happening on that particular day. So their content is like all over the place, and you cannot make heads or tails of whether they're coming or they're going, or whether they're spraying or they're praying with their marketing. And when people come across information that is not organized, guess what? Nobody has time for that. Okay, that's when people get busy, when they don't have time to follow any unorganized pieces of content or information out there. And if you notice this podcast, we are now in season 4, and each season has got 50 episodes. And I try and, just answer questions that are happening in and around my business. But also the one thing that I also try and do is link up the podcast so that they are at least telling a story. One story that they're telling is I am available to answer any questions that you might have. And another story that they're telling is we have the ideas, we have the systems, we have the processes to make sure that we will always be there for you when you need a digital marketing agency that will, definitely help you start, scale, and grow a business that's profitable and enjoyable. All right, so you see what I'm talking about. The two digital marketing best friends that you really need is batching your content and scheduling, the content that comes along. Right now, when I maybe record this podcast, it's probably going to, be aired in a day or 2 days, right? That's the part of batching. You create content when you're inspired, because there's some days when you wake up and you're just not feeling right and you don't have anything to put out there. But if you have batched and scheduled your content, guess what? Your automation will take care of that, and nobody will notice the difference. Okay? And once you do that, like I said, something magical starts happening. You start creating and publishing better content across the board, and you also see a spike in, maybe if you're the person that looks at your social media engagement, you actually start to see a spike in the social media engagement. You know why? Because you are literally, leaving clues and ways that people can actually connect with you in a way that helps them understand what it is that you are trying to disseminate out there. And the best part about all of this is you're spending less time, on all of it while you're reaping the rewards. So instead of you shouting at the top of your lung that you are so busy and, you have no space and time to take on any other work or whatever it is, guess what? When you batch your content and when you schedule it, you, my friend, you will be, sharing space with the people that actually have their stuff together, okay? And you'll be reaping the rewards because you already have the content that will be connecting and engaging with your audience at any given moment. So now let's dive in and look at what these two concepts will look like and how they will actually revolutionize the way you actually, conduct your business, all right? So let's start off with batching, all right? So when you're starting off with your content, you would have already identified your target market and you would have already clarified your message, and you're now looking for a different media for you to put that message out there so that you can reach out to your target market, all right? So at the end of the day, you can't be in all places all at the same time, but the internet makes it easy for you to be omnipresent. So if you create one piece of content and then you batch it out so that you can repurpose that piece of content, you would actually leverage what the internet is now made of, which is basically putting content out there to people that are seeking it out. All right. So this is not so much of a marketing hack, but it's actually a productivity hack. If you look at this podcast right now, I speak into a microphone and it's being recorded, using a software on my computer. And when that is recorded, it actually transcribes it instantly and creates a blog post out of that. So by me being here, that's already 2 pieces of content that I've just created. Okay. And one thing that can also happen is in the time that I'm actually creating this content, I can actually record myself in for a Instagram reel, or I can record myself for a YouTube reel. And what that does is it now creates yet another touch point of content that just so happened to happen while I was busy minding my own business. All right. So obviously at the end of the day, like I said, if you are batching this content, if you're batching this content, you're actually leveraging yourself so that you don't have to worry about where your content is going to be coming from, okay? This is not so much of a marketing hack, but a productivity hack. So time batching is something that I've been, using to grow both my professional and personal life in the past few months, okay? Because we all have 24 hours in a day. You can't be everywhere and you can't be everything to everyone all at the same time, okay? So it actually makes a world of difference in how much you get done, especially in just one day. And I've been able to successfully take on more client work just predicated on the fact that I am not climbing the ladder of success with my hands full. Okay, I dedicate more time to my hobbies. I dedicate more time to my family. I actually exercise a little bit longer with more regularity. I'm out every single day at 6 a.m. and I'm, exercising. And I spend more time with my family and friends. And, we still have that, 24 hours a day that we all think, oh yeah, I am so busy to actually include anything to do with, creating for and relating to, your audience. Okay. So you might be asking, how does content batching work? And you've probably heard this concept before, whether you realize it or not. The core idea is that you build your days and weeks in such a way that you are knocking out chunks of content, from one piece. Like I said, with this podcast, I literally just take this podcast and then, it's transcribed into a blog. And from that blog, we can actually create more pieces of content that we can put onto our social media and all the other places like that, all in a single batch. Okay, so, rather than bouncing from task to task or maybe trying to, cancel everything on your to-do list until you're exhausted and bent out of shape about the fact that you're actually scrambling to get everything done, Time batching is when you categorize similar tasks together and then schedule them into your day. So this is what I also do when I'm creating my podcast or my video. This is all done between 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. This is when I actually need to be in the zone of actually producing this type of content, all right? So after I finish my podcast, I will sit down, set up my phone so that I can create, my video from, the content that I would have just spoke about. And it's still fresh in my head, and I've actually created content for that particular day, all right? So let's say, for example, pretend you maybe blog once a week, for your business website. And if you don't love blogging, or if you maybe sandwich it between two tasks that have got nothing to do with writing or marketing, that blog writing time may be the most painful part of your week. You know why? Because you're asking off of your brain, off of your mindset, things that you would never do to yourself, all right? But if you connect similarly, similar things that you want to do at the same time, it makes it so easy for you to complete any given task, all right? So if you put blogging in between maybe client calls, it can actually drag for an hour or more if you then have to include research, editing, finding the right images that you're going to use on your blog and etc., right? Even though you notice that, this is going to be a hard way to actually, create your content, some people just keep doing that. And they're just like throwing mud at the wall and just trying to see what sticks. So rather than writing a weekly blog post on your, business website, the time batching technique would actually suggest that you sit down, you write, say, maybe 4 blog posts at the same time. And that's enough, to cover you for almost a month of posting if you're posting maybe once a week. Now, if your current blogging routine actually feels like running a marathon through mud, then that probably sounds unpleasant because you're doing so many things at the same time. So your brain is not actually in flow to, give you the answers that you're seeking. But the thing is, when you actually, dedicate a chunk of time to maybe knocking out a few tasks, you actually move faster. Look at how I just sit down and I produce this podcast, and I'm doing a video all at the same time. And this then gets translated into a blog post. Now, that blog post now will then create fodder for social media content. I'm just shooting 7 birds with one stone, And when you dedicate time to actually just knock it out, you actually do it faster and you get in the zone. And when you get into a flow state, ideas and things that you never thought you knew will start coming in. You know why? Because you've asked of your brain to just do one thing that it can focus on, And I don't know if you know what the word, focus actually means. Focus means follow one course until successful. FOCUS. Follow one course until successful. If you're just going to hop on and hop off with the work that you're going to be doing, then it's all going to be like a dog's breakfast. And once you start chunking your time and knocking out similar tasks, you know what you do? You greatly reduce the time it actually takes for you to warm up and get into the writing flow or the speaking flow, which actually makes jumping from one blog post to maybe 4 a no-brainer because you've already gotten your brain juices to start flowing, and it's not going to, be stopped by either having to think, while you're on a phone call or something of that nature. And if you're like me, you're probably prone to distraction. I've got kids that can just knock into my office at any given moment. I can't ignore them. I've got my phone that is tethered to the internet. I can't ignore it just in case it's a client or a new prospect that's calling. And it happens to the best of us. And so when you're switching from task to task mindlessly, there's a mental delay that actually happens between each task that you complete. And guess how many hours you're actually missing out on, if you add it all up. And ultimately, this is a huge waste of time and even a big energy drain. Because it takes so much energy for a rocket to actually propel into, supersonic speeds. So you can imagine it also takes so much to get your brain into gear, right? Yes, maybe when I started this podcast, I was a little bit slow and I was trying to gather my thoughts. But now, can you tell I'm in flow? I don't even know what the next words are going to be, but I know they're going to be right. You know why? Because now my brain is just taking control. And oh my God, I can't even stop it at the end of the day. You know why? Because I've batched my content and it's all just now flowing. You see what flow does? The last maybe 3 seconds, I didn't even input anything besides just opening my mouth and my brain was doing all the talking. And we've already put maybe two minutes in this podcast. So batching tasks can actually help you, keep focus. And like I said, focus means follow one course until successful. And because you know what what are the tasks you're going to be doing next, and you're not going to be distracted by any phone or social media or any email that comes your way. And email is by far the biggest distraction out there. I only schedule to do emails twice a day, at 9 a.m. and at 2 p.m. Because if anything comes after 2 p.m., I will check it out at 9 a.m. when I start work, right? And then anything that's between 9 and 2, that's when I will check it at 2 p.m. Anything that comes after that, I'll check it the next day. So I've also badged my email time, because let me tell you something. An email is just yet another, something that, people come into your inbox just to disturb you. And it's usually about their agenda anyway. I'm in email marketing. I know it's always about, hey, come back to our website. So I've gone as far as applying time to batch my own personal life as well. Like I mentioned above, I do cleaning in the household every Saturday. Okay, so I do 2 hours of cleaning every Saturday. If you come to my house on Saturday, you will see me. Yes, I'm the one that does the bathrooms. I'm the one that does everything within the household. All right, and obviously my wife cleans throughout the week, but the major cleaning is done, on Saturday. So I've batched that. I've even batched, when I eat and how I eat and who I talk to, because I work from a calendar, So you can also look at the things that you love. Maybe if you love eating, you can meal prep. Okay, it's not only in fitness where you can meal prep. You know what I mean, and create meals in batches so that you don't have to be taken away from your desk doing work that matters all the time. Because you're already swamped, and half of the time you just resolve to eating something that is not nutritious. So if you've already created the food before, and this is a very good metaphor, when you have created the food before, you don't have to just settle for junk just because you're too tired or exhausted for you to actually eat. And you no longer have to waste time or energy having to figure out what food to create when you get home. So there's so many other ways that you can batch your tasks, you can batch your work, just so that it's not too overwhelming, you know what I mean? And you're not wasting countless hours each week trying to navigate the whole complex world of running a business. With email, like I told you, I batch it to read it twice a day. You know what I mean? And you can avoid intermittent checking between your other scheduled tasks so that you're not disturbed at all. If I find myself looking at email at times that are not 9 a.m. and 2 p.m., I don't know, I feel like I'm doing something wrong, because my brain is already taught and is already used to not following any, sort of pings or whatever it is that distract us. And the other thing that I also batch out is meetings and phone calls. All right. I batch client meetings to Mondays and Thursdays. All right. Because that's when I'm much more able to focus and actually provide efficient and effective communication when I'm in the zone. So I have all my client meetings on a Monday and all my client meetings on a Thursday. Because if I try to do meetings with people on a Friday, everybody's in the weekend mode. They're not going to take, any information that we put out there, seriously. So while I do client work on Monday and Thursday, and then obviously Tuesday and Wednesday is when I'm actually prospecting for new clients, is when I create all this content, is when I have meetings with my team, all of that stuff. And even social media, even though I'm not personally on social media, but my team, is, and our business is, You know what I mean? If you can batch a chunk of your time to get social media scheduled for at least the next 2 to 4 weeks, you, my friend, will have so much time to even correct some of the mistakes that you would have put in a post, before it goes out. And it probably won't take you more than an hour or two because, like I said, if you're already creating content, your social media post can be predicated on snippets of a blog post that you would have written. So you've got enough content to put out there. All you just do, you need to do is batch it. And it helps you stay, off those channels, except when you want to respond or comment or maybe engage with your audience. We don't necessarily need to be tethered to our phones to see what our clients are doing. We only just maybe need to respond, communicate with them, and create content for them. Just imagine the time that you would save if you weren't maybe just surfing the web. I know you're an internet explorer, but you're not, genetically modified to just be surfing the web for maybe a half an hour every hour, and trying to find the perfect, piece of content that you can post. And pretty much you now have enough time to read. You now have enough time to really master your craft, okay? And actually plan your business because you're not just being taken in all sorts of different directions, just trying to please everybody else because you haven't batched or scheduled yourself enough, Sometimes I like to take a full day at the beginning of each month just to focus on my own business growth and my own development. And I lay it out in a calendar and I decide when to batch certain tasks that I need to do, when I need to sit down with my accountant, when I need to actually look at how we did last month and maybe the previous month, and then just spend time reading and researching different business topics just to help myself improve. If you're not doing this, then obviously you're just whacking a mole and just reacting to everything that comes your way. You should have a schedule. Right now, if anybody wants to talk to you, send them a link to your calendar. Don't just allow people to walk into your white carpet of a fully functional business with their dirty feet. And when you schedule stuff, unlike batching, scheduling isn't it's really a state of mind. All right. And it's a way to completely change your daily work routine, because if something is in a schedule, then it's going to have to be done. If you schedule your time to read, then no one is going to be able to book a call during that time. And it's a tool that I actually suggest that you start incorporating within your business, within your marketing, within your content strategy. That way you can be productive and actually save time, because scheduling and batching, they actually go hand in hand. Because if you're batching out, the time for you to create content that actually boosts your marketing, you should also be batching time to schedule that, that content and post it out. And there's a few tools that you can use. I'm not going to go through all the tools that you can literally use, but here's what I'm going to tell you. Stop glorifying being busy as a business owner. It's no longer a badge of honor. All right? The goal isn't, shouldn't be to do busy work just because you own a business. Literally, you need to be making it easy for people to connect with you. You need to be making it easy for people to actually, create, increasing relationships with you. How are you going to get time if your hands are always full? Because you can't climb the ladder of success with your hands full. And you can't be wearing all the different hats out there that you just want to wear, just simply predicated on the fact that you run and own a business. So with time batching and also scheduling, you can literally automate half of the processes in your business. And you can actually free up a lot of time that you end up being busy with actual things that make you move forward. Like reaching out to prospective clients and completing more, income earning assignments. Now, let me tell you something. If you let go of the need to maybe micromanage in the moment, posting, commenting, sharing, or anything else that's happening on your social media, you realize that you actually work faster if you block out time for specific tasks, throughout your day. Like I said, if you're not creating content out there, then you're missing out on a big chunk of, you relating to your audience. Now, I've got a question for you. Do you find your days chaotic or maybe consumed with activities, but at the end of the day, you don't even feel like you've produced any much work or any results? Or maybe do you mention how busy you are on social media all the time? And when people ask you how you're doing, you respond with, "Oh, I'm so busy. I'm so tired." Oh, I hate to break it down to you, my friend. That is total BS. Who wants to live like that? And also, spoiler alert, everyone that has a lot on their plate these days, you're not more important than anybody else. You're just choosing to deal with maybe your priorities in a way that is extremely unhealthy. To people that know what's up, you're just a wandering generality who means nothing to nobody, because if you really had time management skills and if you're really on top of everything else, you will make time for things that matter. So like I said, we've built strategies for our coaches, consultants, and small to medium businesses to master either their marketing or their business, because I firmly believe that you're actually changing the world one life at a time. Stop being busy. Stop glorifying being busy. And I know it's true that maybe you've got this adrenaline from moving from activity to activity, and it gets quite addictive, but you are not cheating. You're cheating yourself. And you're not doing anybody any favors, okay? You're just going to accumulate a lot of stress, and you're not going to be helpful to anybody that actually needs your help. So instead of you celebrating and rewarding people for being busy, let's actually celebrate productivity. Let's actually, celebrate it when somebody makes an effort, okay? Let's stop giving people the reward for our attention just because, or we want to appear being busy or something like that. Because chronic busyness should not be glorified or become a status symbol, especially if you're an internet explorer or coach or consultant or small to medium business. And it certainly shouldn't be correlated with success or being productive. There's a reason being a busybody is seen as a negative thing. Nobody wants to be a part of that. So I want to help you start, scale, and grow a business that's profitable and enjoyable. And I really want you to win at everything that you're going to be doing out there. So like I keep saying, stop glorifying being busy. Be productive instead. Batch your content and actually schedule stuff that matters so that you can actually create for and relate to the audience you're going to be demanding money off of. Well, I've batched my content right now. Schedule you later. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, let's continue the conversation in the Live Long Digital community. Become a Live Long Digital community member today. This community is for ambitious entrepreneurs and small business owners with the drive to take control of the future of their businesses and achieve huge success without stress and overwhelm. As you heard, Prosper can help you by teaching you marketing strategies that work. So look no further than the Live Long Digital community of entrepreneurs and highly successful business owners. Join our community today. Find us on www.community.livelongdigital.com.au. Network with other driven entrepreneurs and find the expert guidance you need to take your business to the next level. www.community.livelongdigital.com.au